Casey Wilson plays Tiffany Georgina in the 80s Wall Street satire Black Monday on Showtime, currently in its second season. It's Matt Noble here from Gold Derby, here to ask you, Casey, this is a show that pushes the boundaries at times in comedy. What's the wildest thing you think they've done?
Oh my God. I mean, they've done so much that is wild, but I think what's actually the wildest, in my opinion, is what's coming up in our next episode, which is that my character. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I think the wildest thing is what's coming up. My character, Tiff Georgina, I'm like a rich 80s bitch, basically, is the only way to describe her. I want to have a kid. And so my husband says, well, let's just see how you do with parenting. And so he brings these 3 kids that live down the hall from me over. Sorry, there's a huge plane going by. He brings these 3 kids over to my house for me to babysit. They basically beat me up. They throw me into a table. I basically hit them back because it was the 80s. And then their nanny comes in and she says, Ivanka, Donald, Eric, come on home. And I've been babysitting the Trump children. And they just throw $100 bills in my face. So that was really something and insane and fun.
Oh, that's really cool. And I guess with the show, like you can have these nice 80s references, you know, like obviously the Lehman Brothers are big characters in the series and stuff. Yeah. What's been sort of the most fun thing for you to sort of visit, like pop into in terms of 80s pop culture?
I mean, the Lehman Brothers is a great idea. They're both played by Ken Marino, and then it's so insane. And so I love that. And kind of, I mean, there's been all this like sexual harassment stuff that's been turned on its head now that Regina Hall runs The Office. And so it's just so unbelievable to kind of see. She's portrayed in the Wall Street Journal as a businesswoman, but they've like drawn her body naked with like her vagina like as like a nice tribute to her in a serious article. It's just crazy to kind of get into that world and what was acceptable, but the show really makes light of it. And actually the show shows no female nudity, but they show a ton of male nudity, and that's just fun.
Yeah, like it's something that I thought has been pretty like interesting about this season is looking at women in the workplace and the way men talk about women, and sort of like it's very funny, but also quite, you're able to reflect on what's changed and what hasn't changed since the 80s. What are your thoughts on sort of that?
Yeah, I mean, my husband who created the show and his co-creator, Jordan Cahan, said they like to think of the show as like, look what hasn't changed. Look how far we haven't come. And I think you just can see reflected, certainly heightened in the 80s, but kind of where everything is. And there's actually a musical number that I thought was quite brilliant with Paul Scheer is the star of it, where he's put in jail and he realizes, you know, he's at a white collar prison, but then what he realizes is he goes to a section for all white men that's like a spa, and it's just this incredible experience. And there's this kind of barbershop quartet that sing this song about how prison is different for white prisoners. And so I think it's like powerful actually to see that, but it's also done in kind of a funny way to show just like how messed up the prison system is and how differently, you know, people are treated. So there's definitely commentary.
Yeah, I believe it was white. Yeah, I believe it was white collar prisoners.
Yes, white collar prisoners. White collar prisoners. You're right.
No, it was great how they kept on singing white, and he was like, "It's white collar, right?"
Collar, and
it was like, they're like, "Yeah, whatever." Like, same difference.
It's just so upsetting. Yeah.
Now Tiffany Georgina, she had a good scene, particularly the last episode, Arthur Ponzarelli. You got to have a bit of a breakdown scene, and you got to like vent to Regina Hall, Dawn, like her character. How was that scene? Can you talk us through that a bit?
Yeah, I love that scene because my character's fortune has been totally lost and I'm trying to come up with new business ideas. So I've come up with something completely ridiculous, which is to use my family ran a jean company, kind of like Jordache jeans. So I've taken the extra scraps of material and I'm trying to sell jeans for your glasses. called Dungaree Eyes, and basically that's been revealed as a terrible idea, and Regina Hall really kind of talks me off the ledge, but really she boosts my character kind of unknowingly, and now I think like I can do anything now. I can just rebuild my fashion empire, and it's just very misguided.
Yeah. What's been the most sort of fun thing to shoot in season 2 in terms of like maybe a scene that you found it hard not to break during?
I mean, definitely the aforementioned Trump children scene where these kids were just like literally threw me back onto a glass table that shattered. Then they destroyed the entire apartment. And these are like little cute kids. And then I'm backhanding them. And it's so truly crazy. But also the scene where I'm in bed with a gentleman who in life was a male porn star. And I have to throw him out of the bed so that my husband, who's gay, it's not revealed that he's with his lover. And it was just insane. And he's completely naked. And, you know, as a comedian, I don't necessarily do a ton of sex scenes. This was just wild. I was like, what's happening? What has my husband written for me to do? It's just insane.
What do you think is the thing that's that you enjoy the most or think is the most special about Black Monday?
So I think tonally Black Monday is very different. And I think once people watch it, they click into the tone. But it's a very hard, funny show. But it also has these kind of grounded moments with romance in it between Don Cheadle and Regina Hall. But then there's like very kind of broad characters like myself and Andrew Rannells. And I broad just kind of types of the 80s, I think. But then also it goes a bit deeper into kind of like what it was like to be a closeted gay man in that time, what it was like to be an African-American trader, what was the sexual politics going on with women. And it's kind of a mystery, but genuinely it's a comedy. So I just think the tone is so many different things that I don't see other shows doing. And I think it's done very well.
Yeah. And what's your, like, as an actress approaching a character, what do you find the most challenging thing?
I think my character, who now is sporting this season kind of a Nancy Reagan, Princess Diana coif, and I'm in politics, I think finding the humanity in someone who's just such a larger-than-life character. Like, I've been kidnapped by my parents, and now I'm married to a man I know is gay, and we're trying to kind of build this political empire based on kind of a false marriage. And as funny as the character is, I really tried to find some humanity in this woman who is, you know, inherently unlikable, but also kind of all her dreams have crumbled, and what that woman, what it looks like trying to climb and claw your way back to the top when you've had everything. I think that fall is very interesting and kind of, I don't want to say heartbreaking because she's not a very lovable person, but at the same time, when you've had so much to then have nothing, I think it's an interesting kind of poignant journey.
Yeah. How are you most like Tiffany Georgina?
Oh my gosh, God bless you. I mean, I think I can hold my own in the fight. You know, I don't physically abuse my husband the way Tiff does, but I think I can certainly be a bit bratty, but I hope, you know, oh God, I mean, I don't know. Tiff is just so over the top. I mean, yeah, but I don't know. I'm like, my voice is different. My hair is different. I would love to grow into that hairdo in the 50 when I'm 50. Yeah. That's about it.
That's great. Now, you also in the past year directed a short film called Daddio. What was it like? Now, you've done a bit of directing before. I think you did a Happy Endings episode. You've done another short film. Why Daddio? What was behind that film?
Thank you for asking. You know, my dad and I experienced, my mom passed away suddenly about 12 years ago, and I just became fascinated by the process of grief, but not right after someone passes, because I think that's been done a ton and explored, and you're typically in shock, but this movie starts a year after a sudden passing, and just this really happened to me. My father went through a complete spiral. He got a perm. He started getting a spray tan, getting gel nails. He was arrested. Just things happened to a, you know, normal guy. And then I became so depressed, and I was living in my closet. And I just kind of wanted to show the grief process through the lens of two very different people, and kind of how we had to sort of move on, even though you don't really move on. But again, I wanted to explore grief through kind of a comedic lens, because I actually think so many funny things happen through that process that are so darkly hilarious. So
Yeah.
Michael McKean plays my father from Spinal Tap and Better Call Saul. And I just wanted to kind of tell that story.
What's your favorite moment in that film?
Oh gosh, I think there's a bit of a darker moment, which also really happened, which is that my father loves to take photos, and he took a ton of photos, this is very dark, of my mom after she passed, then forgot about them. And they were just on a roll of footage with him in a softball game that I and my brother were just looking through and we found. And the just absolute shock of those images. And so we put it in the film in kind of a different context. But really this beautiful notion in the movie and in life that my dad actually took the photos because he really couldn't comprehend or believe that it had happened. And he wanted evidence that it had happened. And so it was actually kind of this beautiful moment. He thought that we wouldn't believe him. So the movie is funny, but then we kind of put just the way you're so out of mind and body during a loss.
Yeah, like it's dealing with sort of big things, but it's also got some lovely, like it's a very subtle sort of film, a nuanced film in terms of like just the little relational moments, like from.
Yes, oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, the main thing, it's a little like odd couple between a father and daughter and how annoying my dad is. He always brings beach chairs with him on a vacation. And then in the movie is like trying to bungee cord them to a car. And of course they like snap off the car the minute we drive. Just strange, the things that go on kind of between fathers and daughters that are just so frustrating and annoying.
Yeah, and it's sort of like two people that neither of which have it all together, that sort of are probably both thinking, boy, this other person, they're struggling. Like
that's exactly right. And that's what I was trying to make the whole tone is like, each one of us is like, wow, my dad's really struggling. And he's like, my daughter is a mess. I better help out. And it's like, no one is in any position to help anyone or judge anyone.
Yeah. How long does it take to make a film like that?
To be honest with you, I should have just made the feature because it took so long. You still have to do all the work. You have to scout every location and you have to hire every same person. It was just sort of ass backwards. But it took probably 4 or 5 months to just put it together and shoot it and edit it and do it.
Yeah. Well, would you want to direct any Black Monday episodes?
Of course. I mean, I would be thrilled to do it. I'm just waiting for them to ask, but maybe you could start a petition. But and I think I'm working on turning Daddio into a feature. Obviously,
cool.
A smaller movie, but I do think those stories are kind of like you're saying, just like the subtle things that go on between people are interesting. So we'll see.
Yeah, I love it. I love movies like that. Like it did make me think of things like Ladybird or About Schmidt and things like that, which are more just windows into people. Like, yeah,
like small little windows. I appreciate that. Yeah. There's not so much growth. It's just a little.
Yeah. Would you get Michael McKean if you made a feature again?
Of course, he's the best. He is that movie. He channeled my father in an eerie way.
Yeah.
If he would do it.
Yeah. There you go. What if I guess it's hard because we've got half a season of Black Monday still to go, and I don't want you to spoil where things are happening.
I've already spoiled everything.
Yeah, but if you could paint a picture of life for Tiffany Georgina 10 years down the line from where she is now, what would she be doing?
I mean, 10 years down the line, I think Tiff is like starting to really dabble in some plastic surgery. And I think she's now kind of fully switched to maybe like charity society woman. I don't think like feminism has really hit Tiff. But I will say, I think if Tiff were alive now, she would be a Real Housewife.
Yeah.
Is my guess.
Fantastic. Yeah.
I want to say that she would evolve, but I'm not quite sure. She might be like, also maybe in jail for money laundering or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Casey, thanks so much for talking to us today about Black Monday.
I really appreciate you doing this. Thank you.
No worries. No, it's thanks for giving up the time. And all the best with the Emmy Awards and things down the pipeline and the second half of the season as it airs. And people watching this video, you can go to goldderby.com to make your own award predictions and watch other interviews with celebrities and Emmy contenders. Thanks so much, Casey. And I've got it. I was at the Black Monday season 1 premiere party.
Oh, you were? Oh God, what is this?
And this is what I took from the party.
I mean, that's what I would have taken.
Grab the cake, yeah. Because
I have cookies. Paul Scheer gave me cookies of his face, looking very much like that for Christmas, that I keep displayed. You know, when you got a Paul Scheer, you got to display it.
Yeah, there you go.